Hey, friends. Welcome to the Divorce Coaching Clarity Show. I'm your host, Lisa Lisser, founder and CEO of LZL Coaching, a boutique coaching firm focused on divorce, life transition, family conflict coaching, and more. I'm also a retired lawyer, a spiritual counselor, a Jewish educator, and a divorced mom of 3 now grown kids. I know the experience of divorce firsthand because I've lived it. I understand the fear and the overwhelm. There are so many decisions you need to make when you're feeling so fragile and so lost. Who can you turn to for support? That's where the divorce coach can be your greatest asset. In today's episode, we'll talk about what the heck is a divorce coach anyway, and how a divorce coach can completely change your divorce experience so you feel empowered, you find your voice, and you save time, money, and heartache along the way. You're listening to New Streaming Network, home of Going Bold Media, Going Solo Media, and WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, podcasts, and TV. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Roku with the Boxcast app. We will be live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sharing thoughts and ideas designed to make your divorce process easier and at least a little less painful. Like many of you, I was terrified and overwhelmed during my divorce process. When my marriage broke apart after more than 21 years, I was crushed. I felt an incredible weight of responsibility on my shoulders. I was responsible for so many people whose lives were impacted by this divorce. Most importantly, our 3 kids. Of course, I felt responsible. I was a mom. I was the one who always fixed things. I couldn't fix this. At the time, all I knew was that I needed to make life-altering decisions all at once. Like, where was I going to live? Who would get the house? How would we pay for our 3 kids' college tuitions? What was covered by child support and what wasn't? What would be the ratio of how we would split costs, how we would share parenting time, holidays, vacations? The decisions went on, and I needed help. And yet again, I didn't know who to ask. We tried to do mediation first. We had lawyers and we had a mediator. But even with all that firepower, nothing happened. After a year with no movement, I hired a shark lawyer, which was probably a bad idea because costs went up, tension went up, and of course, my soon-to-be ex hired a shark lawyer too. Another year went by, and then nearly another before we finally settled with 3 lawyers plus a mediator in a situation where I felt pressure to agree to things that I didn't believe were in my interest or even fair. But I needed to end it. I finally ended the divorce process, and that's what mattered. We needed it to be over. Divorce isn't about what's fair. It's about money. There's a saying in this business, marriage is about love, but divorce, it's about money. On today's show, we're going to explore what the heck is a divorce coach and how hiring a divorce coach can completely change your divorce experience into one that's empowering rather than debilitating. When the divorce coach is your first hire, you set yourself up for better results from the beginning. One of the biggest obstacles I've found that people have to hiring a divorce coach is fear. They don't understand what a divorce coach does or why they would need one. And ultimately, they're afraid to spend more money on yet one more professional when they feel that money is a completely scarce quantity. And they fear that scarcity. What I don't have, what I won't get, that's all they can think about. I get it. Money is a huge fear in divorce. It's really hard to imagine how two households can survive, let alone thrive, living on the same income that supported one. Something's got to give. But one of the most powerful takeaways I've learned is that fear in divorce is often false evidence appearing real. FEAR. False evidence appearing real. Yes, the money issue is real, but the fears about how to handle it or respond to it may be based on false evidence, information that's not clear. And the divorce coach helps you walk through that and clear away what's true from what's not true. So when you're thinking that maybe you can't afford to hire a divorce coach, maybe you can't afford not to. Imagine you're about to build a house. Would you begin without an architect or a contractor? Would you start without a plan or a blueprint and just wing it? No, you wouldn't. Yet so many of us do that in our divorces. We feel like we need to hurry up and start, but we don't have a plan. We hire the divorce lawyer and let them take over. But we may never take the time to discuss our lives and our life vision with our lawyer. We may only talk about what they think they can get for us. The divorce coach is the single person on your team who helps you design your plan, build your strategy, and help you define what's most important to you. The divorce coach works with you to help you craft your family mission statement and stick to your best self values. This gives you a home base to come back to when you find yourself losing it. And you will lose it. We all do. But if you know where to come back to because you've set yourself up, that's where you find your home. Your divorce coach helps you find your direction and your target. Nowhere is a partner more necessary than when you're transitioning from couplehood to life as a single parent. So how does a divorce coach support you? She helps you demystify your fears, identify your values, and remember who you are when you're being your best self. Design practical strategies to walk through the divorce process with a plan. These are essential tools that will completely change your divorce process. So when people ask me what I do, and I tell them I'm a divorce coach, I get one of two responses. Either an, oh my God, we need to talk, or they get a skeptical look and they ask me, a divorce coach? What the heck is a divorce coach? Now, I've just shared some of it, but now I'm going to go into the official definition. The American Bar Association defines divorce coaching as a flexible, goal-oriented process designed to support, motivate, and guide people going through divorce to help them make the best possible decisions for their future based on their particular interests, needs, and concerns. Now, that's kind of a long sentence, but what that really means is that divorce coaching is whatever you need it to be for you in your particular circumstance, wherever you are in the process. It's flexible because the process is guided by your specific situation. And it's goal-oriented because we work toward your unique goals. Divorce isn't one size fits all. After all, you are the expert in your life. And together we work to discover which goals are right for you. As your divorce coach, I listen to you. My job is to really hear you and understand you. And then I reflect back what I've heard. That's where the magic happens. I remind you who you really are. And as I've said before, a divorce coach can completely change your divorce experience. By the time you've reached out to me, you've probably been struggling for a really long time. You may have become so wrapped up in life's challenges and what's not working in your marriage that you've lost sight of yourself and your center, and you forget the things that are most important. You forgot what makes you, you, and you put all your strengths and your values on the back burner because you're focused on your kids or managing your spouse or keeping the house in order or working outside the home, scheduling the social life, everything, juggling a million things, and just trying to keep your head above water long enough to breathe. Life can get the best of us. As your coach, I help you throw off these layers, the layers of armor, as Brene Brown calls it, that may be smothering the identity of the person you once were. You begin to reclaim your voice. Together, we work to develop your confidence so you can gain clarity regarding your wants and needs. And then share that information with the people who can get you what you want. Your lawyer, the mediator, your soon-to-be ex-spouse, and maybe the most important person in your world who needs to acknowledge what you need and want, and that's you. We build your new awareness, and that can completely change your divorce experience. What's special about what I do as your divorce coach is that I try to fill the space between. So what does that mean? The divorce coach may be the only person in your life who doesn't have a stake in the divorce process other than in supporting you and your success. Your family and friends may all want to support you, but they also have had a relationship with your ex, and they have their own conflicted feelings that they're working through in every conversation with you. Your lawyer is working for you and has a framework of how to work a case that has worked for them in the past, and that works in your favor for the most part. But it also could get in the way if you find that you can't communicate your specific wants and needs to your lawyer. Your therapist is working to help you heal, but your therapist doesn't have expertise in how the legal process works and the whole procedure of divorce. So your therapist can't give you the tools to navigate the process, which leads to the superpower of the divorce coach. The divorce coach occupies the space between. The space between the therapist and the lawyer. The space between the client and the lawyer. The space between the client and their soon-to-be ex. So what does all that mean? Let me give you some examples. As I mentioned above, your family and friends all have a stake in your divorce. The space between you and them may be simply the permission the coach gives you to take a pause, reevaluate their counsel, and listen to what your inner voice is telling you. Maybe they're responding to their own issues and not yours. 85% of what people say to you is about them, not about you. With regard to your attorney, the coach occupies the space between you and your attorney when you're feeling stuck. Maybe you have a question you want to ask, but feel intimidated. Maybe you're afraid to ask too many questions because of costs or simply fear of looking dumb. I hear it all the time. People say, I don't want to bother my lawyer with this question. Remember the acronym FEAR, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. You are allowed to ask questions. It's the only way to get answers. I work with my clients to cut through their emotions, help them gain awareness regarding what's causing their block. What are they afraid of and why? And focus them on what they need to get over. So when they communicate with their lawyer, they're clear and to the point. I help them separate the emotions of divorce from the business of divorce. And this helps the client develop their communication skills and provides the lawyer with a much more credible client who will do better in a deposition, in negotiations, in mediation, or even on the witness stand. When divorce coaches work with clients to help them become better communicators, lawyers are grateful and cases resolve more quickly, which saves time, money, and emotional pain, and yields settlements with better results, ultimately a financial benefit to the client. And this completely changes your divorce experience. The space between is perhaps most impactful between the therapist and the lawyer. I've connected with several therapists who share that they often hit a wall with clients who are struggling in pre-divorce or mid-divorce situations. But the problems are not resolvable through therapy. They're practical, tactical divorce issues outside of the expertise of the therapist. The problems require the help of someone who knows the divorce landscape. How does divorce work? What's the best process for that particular client? Does my client need mediation? Should they hire an attorney right away? Should my client find a financial advisor to review their financial portfolio before even beginning the divorce process? These may not be questions for a therapist, but they are questions for the coaching space. When a therapist refers a client to me, I ask the client first, why do you think your therapist suggested you reach out to me? This helps me understand where they are in the process and how I can best support them. I help them uncover information that relates specifically to where the client is stuck and what are his or her pain points. I empower my clients to make their own decisions after they have the information they need to feel smart enough to know what might work best for them. Demystifying the process takes the fangs out of the fear. Additionally, in the space between, the divorce coach can dig in with the client about their current situation and look forward to what they want to see in the future. I invite them to look a few years ahead. How would you like to see yourself? What are you dreaming about? What do you want to see in the future? What opportunities could you dream of? This is powerful. My clients may never have thought of those things before. And this is an opportunity to actually look beyond the pain of the divorce process into the opportunity of the future. And with all of this comes questions. And this might be the most important issue for clients. Questions. Discovering and writing down all the potential questions that my client has. The divorce coach is skilled at asking probing questions that raise even more questions. Curiosity is a muscle, and working with a divorce coach helps you strengthen this muscle so you can let go of some of the fears you have about the process. I was listening to a podcast recently talking about neuroplasticity, the scientific concept that our brains can learn new things at every stage of our lives. Building our curiosity muscle is exactly what keeps our brains growing and changing. We find new pathways, and our neurons fire differently. Every new bit of information we bring in can be integrated into our brain to build new neural pathways, which expand our capacity to think in new ways and supersede older ways of thinking. If our old experience was bogged down in fear and worry, we can exchange that habit for a new process that encourages information gathering, builds confidence, develops clarity, and informs courage. Working with a coach helps you exercise these skills until they become your new way of being, always looking for new pathways and new opportunities. I have seen remarkable transformation in my clients. Sometimes it happens in as little as 5 to 6 sessions. I have had clients who come to me with dark clouds over their heads, their faces drawn and sad, frustrated and angry. We work together and try new things. We excavate their strengths and their personal story and apply some of their older identity stories to themselves today. In one case, my client didn't believe that divorce was aligned with her family values, despite all the external signs that her marriage was over. There had been an affair. She had been waiting for him to make a decision about what he wanted. And he kept saying, I don't know. It was driving her crazy. Without judgment, and coaching is a no judgment zone, I asked, what would it look like if you made the decision yourself? Let's say you decided to stay in the marriage. What would you need to do to live in that decision and stay true to your values? She came up with several ideas, reality tested them by living them in real time for a few weeks, maybe a month or so, and then realized that despite believing in marriage as an institution, she couldn't stay in her marriage and be aligned with her vision of herself and her future. The fact that she ultimately came to the conclusion that she needed the divorce on her own was completely empowering for her. After 2.5 months of us working together, she developed the clarity, confidence, and courage to tell her husband that the marriage was over and he needed to leave. And after a 32-year marriage, he did. Now, she is pursuing her next life step, training for a new career, and pursuing a passion she never imagined before. She's smiling and looks brighter every time we meet. And even though there are times she feels crushed by the reality of the end of her marriage, for the most part, she lives in her new space of confidence and courage. She feels it. And her kids who are in their 20s, they see it in her too, and they're proud of her. I want you all to know that a divorce coach can be the key to your successful divorce. She can support you in ways you never imagined throughout the process and into your never before imagined future. We'll explore how this all works in the shows ahead. And as I said at the start, a divorce coach can completely change your divorce experience. You can find me at lzlcoaching.com and schedule a free 30-minute discovery session right through my website. You can reach me by email at lisa@lzlcoaching.com. Send me questions and I'll answer them on the show. I hope to work with many of you directly. For a limited time, I'm offering a 10% discount on your first coaching package of any size. Just indicate when you book that you heard about me through the Divorce Coaching Clarity Show. My mission is to ease your divorce process, help you find your voice, and empower you to gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to build a future of strength, opportunity, and joy that you may never have ever dreamed of. I look forward to speaking with you every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. right here. You're listening to New Streaming Network, home of Going Bold Media, Going Solo Media, and WGSN-GB Going Solo Network Radio, podcasts, and TV. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Roku with the Boxcast app. See you next time.